Let's look at the question of presidential parentage just for the few moments that we have left. Ronald Reagan's father was a drunk. His memoirs start with him being drunk on the front stoop. Yep. Abraham Lincoln didn't have a relationship with his father. It was so strained. There's all kinds of complications in the parentage of presidents. Is it really right to take that and say that what we know about Ronald Reagan as president, for instance, that it's highly relevant that his father was an alcoholic, or is that kind of a pop psychology that maybe isn't ultimately very useful?
Ronald Reagan wrote an autobiography called An American Life. He didn't write an autobiography called Dreams from My Father. If he had,
he wrote one called Where's the Rest of Me?
Where's the Rest of Me?
This one was in. Yeah.
That's right. And a lot of people did analyze Reagan's troubled relationship with his children, his relationship with Nancy, and looked at the relevance of those things in shaping his character. Obama has opened up himself the issue of his family, his parentage, his lineage. Here's my point. When Obama talks about the rich, when he talks about the rich aren't paying their fair share, I look at government data, I see that rich people in this country, the top 10%, are paying about 70% of all the income taxes. So, Obama wants them to pay their fair share. Well, what's that? 75%, 80%, 90%? Now, Obama's father was an economist and a distinguished one. He wrote a paper in 1965 in the East Africa Journal saying that when you have concentrations of wealth in a society, we should have tax rates with no upper limit, up to, he says, 100%.
Closer. So you're saying that he might. You're saying that Obama might support a tax rate that was closer to what we had under Dwight Eisenhower.
I'm saying,
just again, point of order. He just simply wants to return them to what they were in the Clinton administration.
Our tax rates.
That's what the proposal to let the tax cuts expire. The proposal is for the wealthy to return the rate to what it was in the Clinton administration. So the question is that fairly described as a highly ideological left-wing view to return the rates to what they were at a period of great prosperity in the Clinton administration?
Isn't it interesting that when his father, an economist, whom Obama says he gets his dreams from, writes an article proposing tax rates of up to 100%?
And you're going to hold him accountable for this?
That article is not reported in Newsweek or the New York Times or CBS News. Why? Because you guys just don't think it's relevant, do you? Isn't it rather interesting?
We didn't report on Ronald Reagan's father being a drunk in Newsweek.
But Ronald Reagan was not influenced by his father the way Obama was.
He was.
We all are to some degree, but Obama writes his life story.
Okay, look, the bottom line here is you make him seem like he's an ideologue, all right? And
I think he is an ideologue.
There's an awful lot of evidence that he's a pragmatist and not an ideologue. And,
I think he campaigned as a pragmatist, but he isn't. He's emerged as an ideologue.
He's done no different than he promised in the campaign. He promised financial regulatory reform in the campaign, health care reform in the campaign. In fact, he delivered.
He is the only president
less than he promised on health care reform. He promised a whole series of things. He hasn't gone beyond it in any fashion, except that he sent more troops to Afghanistan than he promised during the campaign.
Every federal program in the past, every major federal program had bipartisan support. Obama passed health care reform with not a single Republican vote. He could have gotten some Republican votes had he embraced some Republican ideas, but he didn't care because to him the Republican Party is the neo-colonial party, the enemy.
1/3 of the stimulus was tax cuts. $300 billion.
We're talking about health care.
So they didn't.
I was talking about the health care bill. I said he did that without a single Republican vote. It didn't even seem...
Even though it was modeled on Howard Baker and Bob Dole's bill.
I know.
So doesn't that say more about the Republican Party than what his father wrote 60 years ago?
No, I don't think it does. I think that Obama would have done well if you want to bring the country... Look, why is this popularity in the tank? It's because of the relentless partisanship.
It's where Ronald Reagan's was at a similar point in history.
Yeah, but
matter of fact.
All right. Reagan there was a deep recession in the midterm election. Yeah. That's fine. But my point is Obama had meteoric popularity when he was elected. He had a lot of middle-class guys, a lot of whites, rich people voted for Obama, business guys voted for Obama. In a way, the shine is off Obama because the real Obama, President Obama, is very different than the unifying, healing, I'll listen to reasonable ideas from the other side. The Obama that spoke at the Democratic Convention in 2004, I mean, that speech could have been given at the Republican Convention. But could a Republican have governed like Obama? I don't think so.
Okay. I think let's try to, in our last couple of minutes, just go back to the basic idea of your book, which is that he's animated by a spirit of anti-colonialism and that explains a lot of his policies. Let's look at some of his other policies. We've